NDIT. We're going to start this morning just a little bit with the parent portal and the student portal, okay? That part is one that I really like to emphasize because it can save you as a school administrator a lot of time, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and first share my screen with you, and I'm going to move over here, and I want to show you where you can get the documents for the class. So we'll go to Edutech's website here. Oh, we're taking a little time there. You know, this morning I had to restart Firefox once before. Is that what's happening here?
Mine was too yesterday for sled, so I'm not sure.
Okay, let's come back to that document part, and I'll log into eTranscript, and I should have done that differently too here because there's something I want to point out. So we come to this address, and a lot of times Angie and I will field questions on this. They'll say, and it's not letting me in. I'm having a problem getting logged into eTranscript. It says I don't have the right credentials and so on. Well, what the problem is this right here many times. You want to be in the k12.nd.us part. Now, if yours says NDGov, you're in the wrong one. Okay, so how do we fix that? You're looking at this screen right now. You come down here and you go back, and you have this screen in front of you. So not this one. You don't want the NDGov one. You want the K12 login, or the K12 portal, I should say. So we go ahead and we select that. And then when we try our login, it's going to work for us. So we get logged in, we have our main screen. Some of the other problems that we see sometimes is that training hasn't been completed. And you can see my training is complete here and my account hasn't expired. I'm good. Now, if you're getting a warning or you have problems with the training not being completed, just go to review your training. And you're going to come right here and you can review and complete your training and get that done. Okay? So this needs to be done yearly. And it's nothing, that Edutech it isn't an Edutech rule. It's not a DPI rule or anything like that. It's a federal rule, and that's why it's there. So you go through and you take care of it each year, and you're in good shape. Put it on your calendar, something to do, and when you come back, return in the fall. Okay, first time you log into eTranscript, you get it done, and you're going to be okay. You can go to user settings and password settings. You can reset your password here if necessary. But remember, when you do that, you're resetting your password for your K12 address. And you might not want to do that because that gets tied to, a number of things. Security questions are here and your email address. Okay, so most of the time, this isn't going to be changed by anybody, really. You're going to be in pretty good shape. So I'm going to get back here, and that's kind of our home page, all right? Now let's take a look at eTranscript. So I'm going to select eTranscript and log into there. Now I see this is loaded, so I'm going to go back here. For this, and this was to get the document. So first we go to Edutech's web page. We come down here and we select PowerSchool. And then we scroll down a ways and we look for PowerSchool documents. It's going to take us away from there to another page. And here's where we have a whole bunch of documents that are support documents for you to use. But what we're concerned about today is eTranscript. So I open that and here they are. Okay. Now in the future, past July 1, these documents will be held in a different location. We haven't worked that out yet. It might say something like services and it might have SIS or something like that. We'll get that worked out for you in the future, okay? But that's where those documents are and a whole bunch of other documents. And it really works nice to have that resource for you. So you've selected the parent-student document, and we're going to do that in just a minute. I'm going to get logged in. We have some demo students here at Bismarck High School, all years, and demo students. And what I'm going to do is something you can do too with students when you're sitting down with them, is you can select the student and you can say, I'm going to run this as the student interface. That way you're seeing exactly what the student sees. So let's say a student comes in to visit with you about eTranscript and you say, well, let's go in. You're saying you don't see that the college has acknowledged your transcript. Let's go in and see. I'm going to log in just like I would, and we're going to look at what you see. And you can do it that way, okay? So first comes up the name right here. Here's our tab. Target scholarship is the North Dakota Scholarship. They haven't removed these yet. That is the only one. Now the student can see their transcript by selecting the transcript tab. And what's so nice about this is when you go through and set this up for students to be able to see this, they love it. They love having access to this, okay? So there's a number of things here. Student information, school information. This is all going to be pulled from PowerSchool. So now I went and checked and I seen that, I knew that Kay was a new principal in Surrey. So I went to see if this was set up for her. And yeah, she's entered in Surrey correctly as an admin and school set up there. So this is flowing correctly here. And she's going to have her name here as principal and so on. So you have little things like that. We see here, civics test hasn't been taken yet. That's kind of a common one that sometimes people have problems with, and we'll cover that later. But it's not taken yet for our demo students, so we see that information. We have some transcript options here. And really, with students, sometimes I think it's best not to show them this because they sometimes might not be maybe proud of this grade and they take the check mark out of show dual credit grades, and then you're wondering, hey, where's this at? You can't find it, and here they went and selected it not to show. Or, sometimes we see that with ACT and so on. So be careful about what you show kids, and if they say it's not showing, think, there's a place that they can take that off of their transcript. I better take a look at that. But for the most part, we're pretty good, but it does come about every once in a while. Digital transcript is in the work, and then of course they can print a transcript. This really is a time saver for you in that if fall of the year the student's coming into the office and says, hey, I need a transcript or report card for my good student discount and insurance, tell them to go print this. It'll work. I've done it before when I was a principal, okay? So they'll send it in and they're good. All right. Time saver for you. You don't have to make the post-it note. I'll get it to you and so on. No, go to the library, print it off. You're in great shape. Okay. Then we have the school defined GPA. We have the North Dakota system calculated GPA. That's kind of the level playing field for everybody in North Dakota. Credit totals for each grade level. Core course credit totals for the core classes. And then we have our transcript with career and tech ed courses identified as well as the core classes identified here. Dual credit, what semester was it offered? And what you'd see in the class right now for students in your classes, we're in semester 1, so you're going to see an IP here, and it's going to show in progress. That's really kind of nice, especially when you're sitting down with students this time of year and saying, are we on track? What are you taking? What have you taken? Are we in good shape? Okay. And, parents can look at this too, right? They have the documentation. They're logged in students. So it becomes a shared responsibility for everybody. They have access to this. So we're looking at the different grade levels. We go all the way through down to the 9th grade, right? Where they started earning credits towards graduation. Now, what's really nice here too with eTranscript is here's those dual credit classes. Here's those college classes that student took that were dual credit. It shows up here if they're registered for a class at the high school, say senior English college, senior English. And then they also have a senior English or a college English 110 class at the college. So the SLDS and eTranscripts looks and says there's a college registration for college English 110, and there's a high school college English class. It's a dual credit class then, okay? You got to have both, and that matches that up. Very nice. Then we have our ACT scores here too, and it says unofficial. All ACT scores are unofficial unless the college gets them. So they're not official on your local transcript. They're not official here. They're official when the college gets them, okay? So, but it's nice information to have here on that transcript. So that's provided. The kids can look at that, the students. That's great. Here's the time saver, this tab right here. Send transcripts. The student has the ability to send transcripts themselves. So they're sitting at home, in the library, doing whatever in study hall. They can say, hey, I need to send that transcript to BSC. They log into their PowerSchool. They select the ND portal that's up in this corner, and you have that on that documentation, what that looks like. They come here and they go, I need to send that transcript. So North Dakota colleges, I search. I want to send it to BSC. I select send now. Now, if I know for sure I'm going to BSC, I'll send after graduation also. So I send it now, I send it after graduation, and as a student, I'm basically done then. I'm in good shape. And the reason I like this so much is when I was the principal at the high school, I seen this in eTranscript. I came back to the school. I asked my counselor, I said, hey, there's another eTranscript coming up. Go ahead and take that, and then let's talk afterwards. She went and did that. We got a plan together, and we said, we're having kids send their own transcript. Because of the time she was taking and the time, if I had $1 for every time a student came in and asked the secretary to send a transcript someplace, I'd be a rich man. Sometimes first they start out with BSC, and then they decide to go to UND, then they decide Fargo, and then, it can be kind of time consuming. We gave all that time back to the secretary and to the counselor. So let them send it themselves. They're going to be happy to do it, okay? So another thing that happens then is the concern of the student going, the college says they didn't get my transcript. I got an email. Well, you can sit down with them with this student interface, or you can ask them to log in, but a lot of times it's easier to just show them. You bring it up, you turn your monitor towards them, and you say, take a look right here. You see BSC says they acknowledged your transcript. They have it, okay? So it might have been some time delay or something like that, all right? So very nice, makes your life much easier. Now we select the profile access. This is where students can go in and say, hey, I want to include my address here. I want to include my email. All right, they fill it out. Normally, we would do this when we introduced the freshmen. After that first semester, We store grades. The counselor and I would then meet with the freshmen and show them eTranscript, because now they have something in there. That's the beginning of their transcript, okay? They're excited about it. They love it. Seniors can then look at their North Dakota scholarship. They can open their application here. They can view their progress on that scholarship. Here's the college application. They can launch that from here. We have Career Ready, and then the dual credit app here also from the Bank of North Dakota. This tab is for Are You Ready? And then, of course, the Bank of North Dakota is providing students with Smart with My Money. Also a free resource right there. I mean, it's a good resource. If you're not using that, take a look at that and see what uses you might have for your students there. Okay, so here it is. That's the student parent portal. Great resource for you and your, for your parents and your students. Any questions on the student portal at all? Okay, I'm going to close out of that and go back to eTranscript then, and that was done right up here. Okay, there's an exit to eTranscript. Sometimes you can be wondering, how do you get out of there? Just select right up in this area, exit to eTranscript. So now I'm on page 1, or actually page 3, I guess, of the eTranscript documentation, okay? And we're looking at this home page. At the home page, there's just a number of things here. One is notifications. This is where you're going to see, hey, I have a notification maybe to send a transcript or to do something along this lines here. You're going to receive notifications. There's transcript information. Then there's school information, okay? And then we have scholarship information here. Let's start with the scholarship information underneath here. Progress monitoring. This is one of the areas, before we started recording, we talked about how eTranscript has gotten a little bit easier. You know, in the sense that the scholarship requirements have gotten a little bit easier to understand too. There used to be several different forms of scholarships, right? The CTE scholarship, the academic scholarship. Now there's one scholarship that we all follow. So we go ahead, and I'm going to use my demo student here again. The demo students come up, or the students that you would have that you want to check on their scholarships, and you just see their state student number, their name, the year that they're in, you know, when it was last evaluated, what the ACT scores, the GPA. Okay, we see that information. But let's go ahead and view our scholarship progress. Now, there's still some legacy stuff left over from the previous scholarships, but we're really not worried about that too much here, okay? We have just some general information up here. This is kind of our legacy information from the past. I wouldn't worry a whole lot about that. You can go into it if you want. You can go in and look at the transcript here, but there's easier ways of doing that than going through the scholarship progress monitoring to see the transcript, but you can see it there, and it's going to look exactly like it did, or it will, you know, for the student and parent portal, and if we go in and view that transcript someplace else, okay? So you can see it. It's pretty typical, and if we want to certify it, we can certify it here also, okay? So let's return and take a look at what we really want to see here as far as scholarship progress monitoring. Boy, I really have a slow connection here today, don't I? Right here is what all schools are using, right? This is like the holy grail of the North Dakota scholarship. It talks about your essential skills, your post-secondary readiness and workforce readiness, as well as military readiness. It's all right here. It looks the same as what you get from the Department of Public Instruction. Any place, this document looks the same. And you can see that some of this is coming from PowerSchool. It's going to automatically pull from PowerSchool. Some is not. Some will come from DPI, and others will come from your counselor or whoever in your school is in charge of certifying certain things about that student. Okay, so you can see it's really condensed, and this is what I was talking about earlier. We have it down to one page of, am I post-secondary ready? Do I have the essential skills I need? I can look through these. It makes it very nice for that counselor to sit down with the student and take a look at this and just talk about each one of these pieces as far as getting that student ready. Really a nice feature. Okay. Scholarship apps. Here's where you can go ahead and take a look at the scholarship applications that are being completed. I don't want to get into the personal data here for students, but I can show you the heading and you can do that search also and see what's there. So you're going to have the students, the gender, the institution that they're looking at going to, and down here you're going to see whether they're verified or not. That can be really handy for them. Again, that school counselor when you're looking at scholarship applications. We took a lot of pride in the school I was at in that, hey, if a student was even close to being eligible for the scholarship, we wanted to make sure they had it. And the counselor really did an incredible job of making sure that anybody who was eligible, we really worked towards getting that student scholarship, a scholarship or a North Dakota scholarship, whether they were going to college or not. It's kind of like, hey, because you might want to come back and do that in a year, and then you have that scholarship. So we took a lot of pride in that percentage of students we got qualified for that, and hopefully you guys are too. So not a whole lot here under the scholarship information. In a sense, there is. It's all bundled into that progress monitoring report. But let's move over here to the transcript information. There's something very important about this first field right here, import student records. This is something, and we'll cover it at best practices here at the end of the session today, but important student records, you do that before school starts every year. You do it again 2 weeks after school is started. And the other thing you do is anytime you're going, something doesn't look right with this student. I don't know, it's not right. The first thing you do before you submit a ticket to the help desk is you import the student record, and you go over here to this column over here under school information and you import the school. You do both of those for that student, or you can do it school-wide too. But that so many times is what fixes the problem, okay? So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and import the student record. And so we're going to select the school. So I'm just going to go, since my demo student doesn't really work here, I'm going to go to Washburn. I'm going to go to Washburn High School. And the year I'm going to select is, and this is kind of a twofold, the purpose, is I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and do import my son's record, okay? He graduated in 2010. So I can go back that far. I can go back even farther. Washburn's been on PowerSchool a long time, and there's data in eTranscript a long time. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in, begin to type in his name. Now, this is another feature I want to show you. It's the percent sign right here. So let's say you're typing in Weinman and you go, I don't remember how that's spelled, or Johnson, is it O-N or E-N? Those sort of things. Use the percent sign, and that'll work very nice for you, and then you don't have to remember how that last name is spelled. Now I'm going to search for that student, and you can do this for all students too. In the fall of the year, you're going to select all your students and do this. So there Ashwin is, and I can go, okay, I want to import his record. So I can select just the one record, or if I did the whole high school, I'd select all. and I just import that. It's really as simple as that, okay? And that brings that student records in. So when you enroll a new student in school, and this is why we say you might want to do this 2 weeks before school, or you want to do it 2 weeks before school or right before school starts and 2 weeks after because you've entered some new data in. Then after that, you're probably just doing it every semester. Now, some counselors I've talked to, they do it a lot. They really they have the idea that, hey, it doesn't hurt, and it doesn't, you know. So you can import as many times as you want, and you're not affecting anything. You're just maybe in some ways maybe making your life easier. Then we can also view and edit transcripts. Okay, so here we are. I'm again in Bismarck. I'm going to go to my demo student for this and select demo. I'm going to search for the student that I want to view and edit their transcript. And you notice I have a number of them here, right? Here's the last day that it was imported. Here's the day it was certified. Certification can really be important. You got to remember, if it won't send someplace, it's because it hasn't been certified. So you want those certified. Now let's take a look at this. We can view the transcript. We can view it as the North Dakota University system. We can edit. We have certified transcripts, and then I've already shown you how to run it with the student interface. So let's first take a look at view. And I think from previous classes that I've done, this is a nice way of viewing it. Again, it's going to look very similar to what I showed you on the student portal, right? I mean, it's the exact same thing, which is really nice. I can go ahead and certify that transcript. Now, there's something that showed up here that I want to show you, and that's that on this sample, the grade scale is showing up. It is rare for a school to include the grade scale, okay? Because nobody else cares. Once the student graduates, moves on, colleges don't care, scholarships don't really care. So it's rare to see this here. Now, but the ACT scores are there, and you've seen the dual credit grades and so on. Everything else is there. Now, if I select certify, it will say certified by Glenn Wyman with today's date. So you have a history of that, and that can be very handy. All right. That's one way the transcript can be viewed. Let's take a look at the university system view. And this is the one that I think is most popular, and it's certainly the one I like because it breaks things down. And depending on how old you are, you can remember the days when you'd have to look through a student's transcript and try to figure out, well, how many Englishes do they have? You want to make sure they have the correct number of math and so on, all those requirements for graduation. Well, here they put them in those areas, which really makes it nice. They have so many Englishes. These are the Englishes he's taken, or the demo person has. Math, science, social studies, and then here's those elective credits. Very nice. It breaks it all up. And of course, we have our totals we can look at, but it's really nice to have those in here. Sometimes you might see something in here and go, whoa, this is, you know, this might not be correct. It's counting, say, this horticulture is counted as a science, and it should count as an ag credit for this student. It might be the state course code that's affected here. And the state course code is what all of these courses are tied to. That's what separates out classes, okay? So using the correct state course code is so important. And it's so important, and we've put in some stops for this now, but it used to be where people would enter in, just say English 9 into eTranscripts and not include that state course code. When you don't include the state course code, eTranscript doesn't know what it is, and neither will the college, nobody will know what that is for different classes. What credit is it supposed to count towards? So you got to make sure you put in that state course code. It's so important. But this is another view, and I can certify it here also. Okay, so let's take a look at certified. So I can view the certified. So this is the number of times this transcript has been certified. All right. I can go ahead, and this will be done every once in a while. sometimes somebody will say that wasn't correct, that transcript was certified, but it's missing stuff. They'll want to delete that. We sometimes, as support people, will go in and somebody might say, I can't certify a transcript. What's going on? And we'll go in and see if we can do it, and then I'll delete that also. Okay? You can generate a PDF of this transcript. Now a new PDF has been created, and we'll get to how we get that in a minute, okay? So then I'm going to return here and then run a student interface. So we're in pretty good shape there. Okay, we've kind of covered all the areas. We've talked about the parts of the transcript. Is there any questions at all on what we've covered right now? Okay. We've talked about certification of a transcript. And if you're saying all I want to do is certify a transcript, you just come here and certify the transcript, okay? Now, you'll notice I do have some things here that you're not going to have on your eTranscript. As an administrator, I have that. But let's select certify transcript. Same sort of thing. We come to our school. I'm going to look for a transcript to certify. I'm going to find the transcript. I might view it first. I might be with the student and go, hey, let's take a look at this. Before I certify your transcript, I want to make sure we're all good to go and that we agree that everything is on here. You'll hear me say in the course a number of times that the time to make sure that this transcript is correct is every semester or every time you visit with this student. You do not want to be sitting there in the senior year when this student is saying, I should be valedictorian because this physical science should have been an A and it was never corrected. Yeah, you don't want that conversation. You want to talk to them at every semester or when you're going to. Is everything okay here? Is this correct? It's a shared responsibility, remember? Okay, so I can look at this and I can go, yes, this is okay, great, certify the transcript. When we certify it, we're saying everything is correct, right? Certified. Now I'll go back to our main menu. And here's the part that I say you really shouldn't have to do because you're having students do it. You're putting some time back on your calendar here, but you can send a transcript. You can go ahead and say, well, okay, demo came in and asked me to send his transcript. I better get that done. Now I got to log into eTranscript. I got to find him. I got to select the student. I got to make sure that it's certified, that I have a certified transcript. So I'm going to select the student, and right here, it's going to allow me to send it. Now this one will too. They all three will. If I don't have a certified transcript, it won't allow me to send that transcript. Okay, so remember that. So I could send all three of these if I needed to, and I'm going to go send selected. Where do I want to send these to? So here I have to search for the college. They told me they wanted it sent to BSC. They're both the same, so you can do groups of students if you need to. I'm going to send to the institution, and I'm going to flag for final transcript. Okay? So, yeah, it's not difficult, but why do something that a student wants to do himself? Final transcript request. This one, the area, remember this, I'm going to go back to it again and say process final transcript requests. We'll get emails in the summer. I keep getting these emails telling them to process the transcript requests. I don't know what to do. Why am I getting them? And so on. It's this part. You have transcripts that are requests for transcripts that you haven't sent yet. Okay. So you go in here, process the final transcript requests. If I'm going to select, I'm Bismarck here. I'm not going to scroll down very far with this. But you can see here, there's students, and you've seen that one is University of Mary here. Somebody has requested that their transcript be sent to University of Mary. So I'm going to select the students and I'm going to send the selected one there. Okay. And that's what happens after school is out. Before you leave for the summer, you come in here and you process any final transcript requests that you might have. You walk away from the building, you're in good shape. You might get some during the summer. I don't know if you check your email or not, but you might get some during the summer, and it's not a difficult thing to go in and log in and do. What's difficult is when you don't know why you're getting them or where to go, but you know where to go now. You log into eTranscript request and process that final transcript request. Okay. View the transcript requests. Same sort of thing. I just went through that here. Let's go to maintain student authorization. Okay, so this is where you have things set up at your local school. And what we can do is we can make it different for a select group of students. So let's say I'm in a school that I allow my students access to eTranscript, and I allow students to send those transcripts to colleges. But let's say within my school, we have a rule that, hey, if your bills aren't paid, we're not sending the transcript to your college. You got to have all your bills paid first. So at that point, and I'm not getting any money from this student. So I would come into this student then, I'd say, okay, I'm going to maintain student authorization. I'm going to select demo student. I'm going to edit these authorizations. Right now, parent release is set to no for this student. Most of the time, for them to send the transcript, it needs to be sent to yes. So I could change that to no and be done. Right here's my reason, overdue fees. And I could put in here, comment to student. You haven't paid your, activity fees. All right, we come down here. I could override this setting. I could override this school setting. So right now, the school is allowing students access to eTranscript. I could override that and say, no, you're not getting into eTranscript. And you're not allowed to send your transcript to schools. I can do that for one individual. Okay. That's kind of a handy feature. I don't know how much it's used, but you have the capability to do it. Okay. Maintain school transcript profile. This is where we set all our information, okay? So I'm going to do it different. Let's look at one of your schools. Maintain school transcript profile. And we have Elgin on board today. So we take a look at Elgin, New Leipzig. Let's see what they have. So right here under student grades, we have first semester and second semester in here. Now, typically, this doesn't mean a whole lot. It's not pulled for anything, but it's there. It can be there for you. If you want to put it in, go, yeah, that way I always remember what it is, whatever it might be. But it's not pulled for anything. So if it's blank, you don't need to really worry about it. Here's the message to students that you can leave them when they log in. Grades will be updated within 1 week of the date grades are finalized for the semester. So that's kind of a common message, and it was something that we always put in the announcements. Grades will be stored on this date. After that, you log into eTranscript and you make sure everything's okay. Student grades is there, plus the message. If you make any changes, you want to remember to use update. We take a look at the transcript content. Now, this is going to look pretty typical to most schools. Most schools are going to say, yes, include the ACT. Don't include the grade scale. Class rank, yes, include that. Include any AP scores that are there. And if you're given an SAT test, you'll want to say yes. Evidently, Elgin doesn't give that at all, so they have no selected. You could default, that to yes, and it's not going to hurt anything. If a student has it, they're going to have it, but grade scale, no would be typical. Most schools aren't going to do that. Now, here's the other controls, and this is the one I want you to think about. So we're in Elgin right now. So Elgin right now does not allow transcripts to be automatically sent to institutions. They're not allowing students to do that. They are allowing students to log into eTranscript and look at their eTranscript, which is great. That's cool. Okay. And this is for the class or comprehensive learner record. So we don't do a whole lot with that. That's more of a future thing that's coming. And then we have the student access. They're allowing students access to eTranscript right here. That's the portal there. Okay. And then the parent release, yes, it's defaulted for everyone. Okay. So Elgin might want to think about this, allowing students to send their own transcript. It's up to you, it's school decision. Okay. So that's our transcript information on the main menu here. Let's take a look, and there is the high school transcript exchange, but people find that it's almost more easier to manually enter them. You have to have both schools knowing how to transport that data, and it just hasn't worked very well. Import schools over here, school information. So this is something that I talked about earlier, importing the school. So I was still on Washburn here, and it's really easy. Beginning of the year, you do this. Select all, it doesn't hurt to do the elementary, and import the school. And it's done. And you'll save yourself some hassles there. And this is where, like I say, it was important for Kay to do this. She's a new principal there. Any school that has some change in administration, you're going to want to make sure you import that school. And again, it doesn't hurt to click it and import it, okay? And then everything's up to date. If you change a phone number, it's going to bring that in. Maintain transcript GPA. This is something that we tell people you do not change unless you visit with us first, okay? Submit a ticket, talk to us first. Because what happens is we have schools that a new principal comes in and says, well, we don't have a weighted GPA, and they don't understand what weighted means, okay? They're thinking, oh, weighted is I get 5 points for a instead of 4, and that's not what weighted is, okay, in Power School anyway. That would be called added value. So it's just best, you think you need to change something, you contact us here at EduTech, and we're going to help you with that. We get very few people changing this, all right? The same thing goes with maintain transcript terms. You don't change that. I'm going to use Elgin again for an example. If you think that this is not correct, you contact us first. So what happens in Elgin is they are storing credit on S1, S2, and Y1. I'm going to say 75% of the schools, it's going to be an S1 and S2. That's all they store credit on. All right. So if you're thinking, well, no, we have quarters too. We're storing grades for quarters, and you change it, it's going to create a mess. You don't change this unless you contact us, because credit is only stored on S1, S2, and Y1. And then, come on, main menu. And then there's maintain the grade scale. Now, you don't need to do this unless you're showing it on your transcripts. Most schools aren't. But what you would do is if Elgin decided to, yep, I want to include that on my transcript and it's the default grade scale that we use, I would go through that process. Okay. But most schools aren't. Maintain dual credit mapping. This used to be a bigger thing. And the reason it's not, and we'll do Elgin's here, is in the last, I want to say 5-6 years, it really seems to explode. Now they're actually really good here. They got a lot of them mapped to what's in-house. So they have students taking a college course called American Sign Language, and they're enrolled in a class at Elgin that is called Sign Language 1. That's what that's saying. And then that will put the class on eTranscript and it'll have the DC right there. It'll say that's a dual credit class. But what's happened with so many schools is they're going to look, I'm going to go to Washburn, they're going to look more like this, where these are the classes, college classes that we're offering in-house. We have a lot of kids, just one-offs and two-offs that are taking a dual credit class. They're taking it online, but we have them listed in a study hall instead, or we have them as an online class, but we don't list it as the class. And then you can't map them, okay? So what happens is, like say this anatomy and physiology, if they were teaching that in-house, you'd say, well, first off, I can see which students are. I can select view students and see who the students are. And then I could look at their schedule and say, yes, they're enrolled in a class. They're enrolled in anatomy and physiology at the high school. It's called that. And then I could map that class. I'd select map, and you can do an auto map, and it's going to look for the courses that it might be. It's going to do its best guess. And if it is, you just select add. Okay. But we really don't spend a lot of time on this anymore because there's so many that are just listed as an online class, or they're not paired up with a class at the school anymore. I mean, it used to be the typical, if you were taking college English, you were in an ITV class and there was a class of 10. And now, even with the college English, there's first period didn't work, so they're taking it second period online from Devil's Lake. Third period, I have a student taking it from Minot State. And seventh hour, there's one, that's taking it from BSC. There's just so much going on like that you'd drive yourself crazy trying to do the mapping. Okay. Now you certainly can if you want, and give me a call if you need help. I'll help you do it. Okay. But it seems like that's kind of went by the wayside. Now take a look at the dual. Whoop! I did that kind of fast. Take a look at this dual credit college grades. This is really a handy tool when you're looking at students taking grades at and I'm going to go to Bismarck here. I'm not going to show any grades. You do it for yourself in your local school and you'll see that. But it's going to run a report, and then I'm going to get students that come up, and it's going to have the institution that they're taking the class from, what is the local course ID, what is the student's ID, the name of the student, the school that they're in, obviously it's going to be your local school, and then whether they dropped the class, when does the term end, and then what is the grade they received. That can really save you some time when you're entering those grades for these college classes, depending on how you did it. In our school, we were percentage based, so I always needed to get the percent from the student or from the college teacher, and they knew that. I'd worked with them for a long time. So very handy for this dual credit grades. And a lot of times of course, eliminate some grades here, but I print this report out and black out, the personal data for the school board. Say these are the number of students that are taking college classes online and so on. They typically like to see that. What are the classes that are being taken and so on. Okay. So we go back to our main menu and we take a look at non-scheduled course enrollments or mapping. Our staff here last year, student data team, really kind of attacked this because we seen it was as a big problem. This is what I was talking about, where schools were entering historical grades into class, or new students coming in, they were entering historical grades in for the student and not using the state course code. So we had some schools, that had 500 courses in there without a state course code. And it really affected the students negatively is what it did. So we wanted to clean that up. So we had a massive cleanup, and you might have been contacted. You might not have been for courses we didn't know. But of course, when we seen an English 9, we mass build English 9. We know those sort of things. And we maybe contacted this, or we did contact the schools if we didn't know. So we had a big cleanup there, and it really looks good now. And what we've put into PowerSchool is a, kind of a validation there. It's the term I'm looking for, validation, that you have to either enter a local course code or you have to enter a state course code and to enter in a grade for a student. And that's really solved a lot of problems. Now, I want to explain that just a little bit. If you use the local course code, it's going to look at your local course in your course catalog, and it's going to use all the settings that are for that local course. Okay. And so if you're saying that English 05075 is a college level dual credit class that's offered from a college and it's offered online, that setting will be what shows when that grade is stored. Okay, it's going to take all the settings just like you have in your local student information system. Now, if you enter the state course code, then it's going to take the settings that you give it. So you might say 05073 high school English or English 12, and you put the grade values in, and maybe it wasn't offered online, nothing like that. That's what it's going to store with that grade. If you put it over ITV, that's what it's going to show. Okay, so that's the difference. Local course code makes it look like the course that you have locally. Using the state course only, we'll put whatever you enter, we'll store whatever you enter in there. Okay, so that's how that works. So you can go ahead for your school if we want to see, well, does Elgin have any grades that have been entered that don't have a state course code? So I can go back. I want to do it for anybody that's in high school right now. So start in 21-22, end this current year, and search. We do have some there, and I don't want to get into the name of that student, but that is a historical one there from a student I remember dealing with, visiting with Elgin about this. It's a student from overseas that took classes there, and the student has since gone, I believe. And so it's like, well, we're not going to worry about it at this point. But those are the ones that really can be difficult. You get these students that transfer in that might have taken a class at the air base in Germany, and they took a class, and you're going, well, I have no idea what to put this student down as. Well, you need to sit down with the student, talk to the student, and say, okay, what was this class? can we agree on a state course code for this? Or maybe you call the school and go, what was this class? With the internet, it's gotten so much better. Sometimes you can bring up that school's course catalog, and you want to sit down with the student and go, this is what I think it is. Do you agree? Should we use this state course code for this? It's not that difficult, okay? And you eliminate any problems here. But again, we put in some validations that really there shouldn't be many of those going forward at all. So that is our eTranscript program. What questions do we have so far? Do we have any questions?
I do not. It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's been made fairly easy for you. I do want to cover some things on the documentation, okay? On page 9 of the documentation, we have kind of a troubleshooting guide here for you. So it's something you can do, where you go, I don't get what's happening here. You can search for it, or not search for it. You have it, and then it's an Adobe or a PDF, but you can search within that PDF of just some keywords, and that helps too. That's kind of nice when you can do that. But I want to point out just some common questions that we have that Angie and I will get about eTranscript. The first one is right there, number 1. We put it there for you. I have students who said they took the ACT in December, but their scores are not on eTranscript yet. This is a process that takes a little bit. So DPI receives the ACT scores quarterly from ACT. Then they need to put things together and import them into eTranscript. So 4 times a year, this is happening. So a person just needs to be patient with that. Now, if you're going, hey, Glenn took it at the same time as Angie took the test, his scores are on there, but Angie's aren't. Now you want to check into it and see what's going on, okay? So that's a common one that we get. Number 2 is also a common one. The ACT score in eTranscript doesn't match the ACT score we have in PowerSchool. The student took it twice, and eTranscript is still showing the old one, okay? The ACT score displaying in eTranscript is the last one taken. All right, basically it comes down to that. This also brings up another point. ACT scores in PowerSchool, and this is one of the reasons we say, why are you still printing transcripts out of PowerSchool? eTranscript is the source of truth, okay? That's where colleges get their information, not your PowerSchool transcript. ACT scores will be automatically put into eTranscript. You have to type them into PowerSchool. So why are you doing that? Again, that's a waste of your time because they're not official there neither. So we discourage schools from doing that. We say, don't waste your time. It's being taken care of in eTranscript, and eTranscript is a source of truth. So go right to there, okay? Question 6 is another common one. Civics test data is still not showing up in eTranscript. I put civics dates into PowerSchool last week. If this happens to you, knowing what I told you at the beginning of the class, what would you do? First thing you're going to do is go, Glenn told me that if I import the students and import the schools, that's the first step before I submit a ticket. You're going to do that and you're going to go, there they are, they're there, okay? So that's what you do to solve that problem, okay? So they need to be taken care of. And we always send out information, the team does, in our newsletter about reminding schools of that and how to do it as a group. So you don't have to do onesie twosie. You grab all your seniors, enter it in that civics test date, and you're done, okay? Let's see. Question 7, that one really addresses the ACT score. We get this every once in a while. Not so much really anymore since we've included it in our documentation, is nicknames on ACT scores. And anything official, you really need to have that talk with your students that, and when you're taking map testing, when you're taking the ACT, the ASVAB, whatever it might be, you don't use the nickname, right? If it's Butch Zeller and his name is Floyd, he needs to use his legal name of Floyd, okay? Let's take a look at some common questions for courses. We got for records is here. So there's kind of broken down into some categories. For courses, I have a student, number 2 here, so another one. I have a student who is a junior, but showing up in our senior class list. Her name is italicized and in red. She does not appear in the junior class list at all. How do we correct this? Okay, well, the problem is in historical grades in school, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Student. And I'm going to come here to the academic records. I'm going to say I'm going to enter in a historical grade for him. Now, he is in the 11th grade. So I go, he just took his senior English. Good for him. Good job, Chris. So we want to enter that into PowerSchool. Took it this year, 2025, S1. And here's what I do. Oh, it's senior English. So I'm going to put grade 12. That's the problem. What grade did he take the class in? He took the class in 11th grade. It was senior English. Okay. But this is the year that he took it. All right. Now, here again, I have the choice. If I want to make it look just like a senior English class here, I use my local course code. If I want to say, no, bring it down here, and the state course code is, let's say 0505, I think it's like 73 or something like that, 74. That's English, I think. And hey, it was a dual credit class. It was online from a college, so I use other. Now, by doing that, it's going to save all these settings. And I want to do that, right? I mean, that's the way I want it. If I say, nope, it's going to local course code. And in our local course codes, when we set them up that English 4, that's what it's called. And now, if I store it like this, it'll wipe this out because this isn't the way my local course is set up. You know, face-to-face on high school campus. So that's the difference there. But I got off track just a little bit on that one. But right here is the problem. You entered as the grade that they are in right here. Okay, grade 11. Now, sticking with our boy Chris, I'm going to go here back to his historical grades, and I'm going to cover the next question that comes up. And they'll say, hey, this wouldn't be a good example because it's not set up right, but it'll work. Let's say this says grade 8 right here, Algebra 1. So as an 8th grader, he took Algebra 1 for credit. This says grade 8, okay? So I just go over here to his grade. I select the grade and I change the grade level. I change it from 8 to 9 and I submit. Now, this is one thing that I wish would be changed in Power School, or not changed in Power School. It's not a Power School issue. It's a issue with eTranscript, because I'm saying my argument is, why can't an 8th grader earn high school credit? Why can't that show? But my concern it is, so that's number 4 right there. Common one comes spring of the year. And then when we get to our last set of questions here, I regularly get emails from North Dakota Transcripts, eTranscripts, called overdue final transcript request. But when I go to eTranscripts, I can't find any reason why I should get this message. I showed you what to do, right? Log into eTranscript, select on that first left-hand column, process final transcript request. So this can be a handy document for you, right? Okay, so let's go to page 13. This is what we call best practices, okay? We work with a lot of schools, you can make life easy for yourself. What I would do if I'm you, I'm grabbing this and I'm highlighting this, I'm copying it, and I'm opening up my calendar for the year, and I'm going to a date, and I'm selecting a date, and let's say it's a new event, and I'm pasting this right in here, pasting those steps in, and I'm going, for myself, and I'm saying here, update eTranscript. That's going to be done on August 15th of every year. Okay? And that way you have a reminder. You set it as reoccurring. And every year you get this message. You don't have to bring out the documentation. You don't have to do that because you got the instructions right here. This is what I need to do. Okay? I'd set that same thing for 2 weeks after. I'd send it for, say, September 15th and go, okay, I'm going to do it again. Done. All right. So that's where 2 weeks after school starts, we do the same thing. Okay, now 1 week prior to the end of the first semester, you make this reoccurring on your calendar again, you copy paste this stuff in. Write in your announcements. Students in grades 9 through 12, I will have your transcript certified in eTranscript on such and such date. This date should be within 2 weeks of the end of the semester, okay? You want to keep it fresh, right? Please review your transcript, inform the office if anything or if something doesn't seem correct. Excuse me. The time to correct or to look at potential errors is right away, not a week before graduation. Seniors, after this date, you will be able to send an eTranscript to your college of interest. All right? So you're providing the students. When am I storing grades? When can you look at them in eTranscript? Shared responsibility. You make sure it's correct. You make sure that if you did extra credit in that English class and the teacher said they were going to change that grade from a D to a C, that it was done in eTranscript. How many times does that pop up where, hey, I turned that paper in, that grade isn't changed, right? We need to look at these, all right, and make sure everybody's on the same page. Shared responsibility, students, parents, and it's in the announcements. A lot of parents read the school announcements too. They're sent to them, okay? Now, here's the nice one. After the first semester, you're going to schedule that meeting with the freshmen. You and the counselor are going to go in, and, it's after grades are stored. You're going to show those students how they log in to eTranscript. They like to fill out that student profile. They like to write their name in there and address, get that all done. And you're showing them what this is going to look like. This is the beginning of their high school transcript. They're usually pretty excited about it. Now they know how to do this from, for the future. You really don't need to revisit it. You've seen yourself how simple that is. You're going to meet with seniors, and there's no reason to send a transcript before, their senior year really, but sometimes it happens. But it's easy enough to have that refresher with them and saying, okay, let's log in. Here's what you're going to need to do. Here's how you search for a college. They're going to figure it out. It'll be pretty good. Now, 1 week prior to the end of the semester, we have the same sort of thing going on, right? We're telling students when you're going to have grades stored, when they can look at their eTranscript. The seniors should be able to send those transcripts to their college of interest. This is the big time saver for you, right? Seniors will always want this done ASAP, so try to certify those senior transcripts a day or two before or after you've stored grades. They're in a big rush. They want to get out of here. They want to get it done. And you want it done too, So as soon as you can get this done, have it done. And hey, this might be part of that senior graduation practice. You bring them in for that. The first thing you do is you meet in the room and you log in. Let's get this all done. You walk out of there and it's done. That's nice. And they're learning a little bit about taking care of business themselves, right? Because next year they're responsible for it as a freshman in college. Okay. End of year, they leave for the school year. Maybe you have to take care of it yourself. You're going to need to log in, get some things done. You store those grades. You put that appointment on the calendar to certify their transcripts. Before you leave, you process those final transcript requests. So really handy, really easy, nice program to make things nice for the students. Any questions at all? Remember, Angie and I are always here if you have questions. Here to help you, okay? Want to make sure that this works well for you. Any questions at all? Okay, I'll stop sharing that then. Well, I thank you for taking the class. I'm going to go ahead. As you know, I mentioned to you, I stored the grade, or not stored the grade, I recorded this session. I plan on talking to the powers that put it up on our website. I'm going to have it there for the future for anybody else. I don't know if Angie and I are going to do any more in-person ones. We're just going to have them watch the video and help them out as needed. We talk about where to go get the information, so we should be good. So yeah. If you don't have any questions at all, Angie, do you have any final comments or anything before we close the class out?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You did a really good job, so I have no issues at all.
Kelly, anything?
No, thank you very much. And I don't have control yet.
Okay. Hey, Harry's been around forever. He's a good resource. And Angie and I are here to help. So don't beat your head over, a lot of things. You start having problems, look at our guide, troubleshooting guide in the back. If that doesn't help and you've imported the students and imported the schools and go, it still isn't right, I don't get it, you contact us, okay?
Yeah, we're just an email away.
Right.
As always, very thorough, Glenn. I really appreciate the timelines for us rookies here at the back.
Okay, so, sounds good, man.
I'll be referencing that pretty often.
Good.
Okay, well, you guys take care and have a good school year.
We'll
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you.
school year.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.